Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and you might have heard lots of feedback from locals about the new parking fees at Balboa Park after paid parking began on Monday. KPBS reporter Andrew Dyer went to speak with tourists today to see what they have to say.
This is our first place that we visit. We just got here last night.
Laura Mendez just arrived in San Diego, and Balboa Park is her first stop. She says she's already heard some of the fuss about the new paid parking policy.
People that live here also have to pay?
That's true, but at a discount. According to the Union Tribune, city workers scrambled Monday to affix signs with QR code readers directing San Diego residents where to register for the half-off rate. Alara Knutson is in town from Minneapolis to visit her sister. She says she was surprised when she got to the park.
Yeah, it definitely surprised me because I visited in May and I could park here no problem, no fee. And then I saw that metered parking started. My sister warned me, and now that I saw that it just started yesterday, I'm kind of in shock that we decided to come today, the day after we have to pay.
Parking at Lower Inspiration Point is free for 3 hours, but there are no signs telling visitors. It was news to Knutson.
I did not know that. We were probably going to have to move our car there.
The city says that information is available online, but new physical signage is on order. Dmitry Korobenikov of Rochester, New York, found the free lot. He tried parking somewhere else first.
I just found this out. We went to another lot and it said, some other rate, but it said $10 minimum, so I was like, no, I'm not paying.
More central lots are $16 per day for visitors. Korobenikov says he's surprised paying for parking has been such an issue.
Well, I mean, usually when you're in the cities, like big cities, you expect to pay, unfortunately.
The city says the rates are in line with other park destinations in the state. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
Paid parking at Balboa Park is also affecting the daily lives of the people who work and volunteer there. Verified employees and volunteers can park at certain lots and metered street parking for free. The nonprofit Balboa Park Cultural Partnership is also offering an on-call shuttle service. Our media partner KGTV spoke with its executive director.
I've taken 6 different shuttle rides today, I think, on different shuttles with different team members. They are all working well, but it's the first day. And so certainly we have team members who weren't quite sure where to park, who weren't quite sure where the shuttle stop might be. They weren't quite sure where the shuttles go to. And so there will be a number of teething problems, and we fully expect those.
The shuttle service will run from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then again 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. There are also free shuttles for all park goers. The city says those will be extended from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Well, we do have a few showers on their way back into the area. A period of rain late tonight and early Wednesday as a weak system mainly passes to our south. It's kind of diving just barely to our south and into parts of Mexico, and it's going to round the base of a trough basically just to our south. But overnight, we're going to see some clouds increase, and you'll notice some showers out there. It'll be a wetter time into Wednesday as the system passes just to the south and then scoots into the deserts to our east. Details ahead.
As 2025 came to a close, so did the Affordable Care Act's enhanced premium subsidies. While the House is expected to vote sometime this month on a Democratic proposal to extend them for 3 years, the effort faces significant hurdles in the Senate. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down what you need to know.
With ACA enhanced subsidies gone, millions of Americans will likely have to shell out more and, in some cases, a lot more for coverage in 2026 or go uninsured. Another option is finding less expensive policies, but that usually involves trade-offs. Extending the Affordable Care Act's enhanced premium subsidies has been at the center of several battles on Capitol Hill in recent months. Now that they've expired, millions of Americans will have to make an important health care and financial decision.
As of January 1st, millions of people saw that their premium payments are going up. Some of them may have already dropped their coverage. Other people may have tried to switch from, say a silver or gold plan to a bronze plan, which would have a much higher deductible, but might keep their premium low enough that they could afford to stay insured.
Enhanced subsidies made Obamacare coverage much more affordable, which helped draw a record 24.3 million people to sign up for 2025 policies. Cynthia Cox is a senior vice president for KFF, a nonpartisan health policy research group. She says enhanced premium tax credits allowed lower-income Americans to enroll in policies with $0 or near $0 monthly premiums, while those in the middle class became eligible for help for the first time. Cox says 4 out of 5 consumers were able to find 2025 plans for $10 or less a month.
Starting January 1st, lower income people have to pay 2 to 4% of their income. Higher income people might have no cap on how much they have to spend. They might have to pay full price, which could be 20, 30% of their income.
Open enrollment ends January 15th in most states, meaning there's still time for people to shop for coverage before being automatically renewed into their same plan. 10 states are providing eligible residents with additional state-funded subsidies that could blunt some of this year's premium increase. California, for instance, allocated $190 million to replace the enhanced subsidies for many of its lowest-income enrollees for 2026. But that doesn't come close to the $2.5 billion in federal enhanced subsidies that enrollees received in 2025. In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
The California Supreme Court has declined to hear a case with implications for the future of San Diego's Midway District. The city wanted to lift the longstanding building height limit in the area to facilitate growth, but lawsuits over environmental reviews stymied that effort. Public Matters reporter Jake Gata has more about the court case and what's next for the neighborhood.
The city wanted to see thousands of homes and a new sports arena built here under a project called Midway Rising. Voters approved a height limit exemption twice, but both times a neighborhood group sued to block that proposal. The lawsuits argued the city didn't do enough environmental reporting when they put the issue on the ballot. The city argued they had already covered that in their previous environmental reports, but the courts disagreed. Now the California Supreme Court has declined to review the city's final appeal of that lawsuit, which means, for now, the height limit will remain in place. And Midway Rising has hit another roadblock. But that doesn't mean an end to the project. The development team believes they can use the state's density bonus law to still exceed that height limit. It's unclear if the city is on board with that plan. The Midway District has been rezoned to allow tens of thousands of new homes regardless. So new development is probably coming to the area either way. Jake Gata, KPBS News.
San Diego is struggling to close a budget deficit this year. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says the city's auditor is arguing his department should be spared from budget cuts.
San Diego's Office of the City Auditor digs deep into the operations of city departments in search of efficiencies and to investigate claims of waste, fraud, and abuse. Recent audits have looked into the city's disaster response and its handling of trash, recycling, and organic waste collection. City Auditor Andy Hanau says his department provides an exceptional return on investment.
Last year, we issued an audit of police overtime where we recommended centralizing the assignment and tracking of overtime rather than letting every division do it on their own. That allows them to have better control and visibility over what overtime is being assigned and what it's actually used for. And according to the police department, they expect those changes to save $9 million this year in overtime costs, which is 1.5 times the budget of our office just from one audit.
According to a memo Hanau released last month, his office receives less than $1 per $1,000 of city spending. He says that figure has dropped significantly over the past 15 years and is more than 50% below what San Diego's peer cities spend on their audit departments.
That means we have to leave a lot of important stuff off of our work plan as it stands, things like library operations and equity, developer compliance with affordable housing regulations, the city's enforcement of short-term rental regulations. Those are all audits that we received requests for from the public and from council members that we had to leave off our work plan this year because we don't have the staff as it is. There'll be even more of those if we have to lose staff as a result of this.
San Diego finance officials are projecting a deficit next fiscal year of more than $110 million. Hanno says he's been asked to cut his budget by 7%, which would require laying off or furloughing his employees. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The city of Del Mar wants to meet with California's Attorney General about a stalled cliffside housing development. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen says this comes after the AG's office accused the city of acting in bad faith on the project.
The back and forth between the state's Justice Department and the city is over this property on the bluffs overlooking Del Mar's Dock Beach. The property owner wants to build a 259-unit apartment complex here called Seaside Ridge with 85 affordable units. Del Mar says the bluff is currently zoned for 1 house per acre. The developer maintains that the project qualifies for a builder's remedy, making it easier to rezone the property.
So what the Attorney General's letter was about was, hey, why are these zoning changes not happening?
Councilmember Terry Gasterland is the housing liaison for the city. She says any zoning changes would need the approval of the Coastal Commission. The city says the builder's remedy does not apply, and the AG's letter misrepresents the issue. The city has consistently maintained that the Seaside Ridge project is missing key elements, including the rezoning application and the coastal development permit. Gasterland says meeting in person could resolve miscommunication.
So when there's gaps in knowledge on either side and people need time to ask questions, it can be a whole lot more efficient than trying to go back and forth with letters and paper.
The city is also accusing the property developer of interfering with its negotiation with the Del Mar Fairgrounds to build affordable housing there. Seaside Ridge spokesperson Darren Puchos disputes that. In a statement, he says, in part, we support affordable housing at the fairgrounds and have suggested that they complete their once-in-a-generation master planning effort before they approve any housing on this property. In an email to KPBS, the AG's office acknowledged that it has received the letter but declined to comment. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
A Superior Court judge has granted the Santana High School shooter's request to recall his original sentence and allow him to be resentenced. The defendant was 15 at the time of the 2001 shooting when he killed 2 students and wounded 13 others. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced as an adult to 50 years to life in prison. A news release from the San Diego County District Attorney's Office says the new decision will transfer the defendant to the juvenile court system and immediately release him from prison without parole, supervision, or determination about the risk to public safety. The DA's office is appealing.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, what's next for Venezuela and other nations as the U.S. asserts more authority in the Western Hemisphere? It's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
It has been 5 years since the January 6th insurrection, and today both lawmakers and those who were charged for the attack are marking the day in starkly different ways. January 6th defendants and their supporters marched the same path to the Capitol, walked on that day, holding signs and waving American flags. The march was to remember those who died during the riot, including Air Force veteran Ashley Babbitt from San Diego. Meanwhile, Democratic lawmakers held an unofficial hearing inside the Capitol.
Over the last 5 years, instead of holding those responsible for the attack accountable, Donald Trump and far-right extremists in Congress have repeatedly attempted to rewrite history and whitewash the horrific events of January 6th.
Remembering January 6th is not an exercise in partisanship. It's an obligation to those who have sacrificed for this country and all those who will in the future. Democracy depends on the courage of those who will defend it.
More than 1,000 people were charged by the Justice Department in connection with the riot, but they were later pardoned by President Trump when he retook office last year. And KPBS Midday Edition talked to a national correspondent and political science professor about the aftermath of January 6th and San Diego's influence on extremism in politics. You can listen now at kpbs.org/midday edition or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thousands of federal agents are being deployed to Minneapolis as part of the Trump administration's latest push to crack down on immigration. The deployment comes as fraud allegations have prompted a political shakeup, as well as pushback by some toward the increased enforcement efforts. Michael Yoshida reports.
Immigration crackdowns escalating in Minnesota. Edited video shows Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem during an operation Tuesday morning. Law enforcement sources saying 2,000 federal agents are deploying to the Minneapolis area. Senior Trump officials have fixated on the state and its Somali community following accusations of alleged welfare fraud.
How about the new thing in Minnesota with the Somalians?
Investigations are ongoing, but initial findings by the state cast doubt on some of the claims made in a viral video targeting Somali-run child care centers. Still, allegations and a federal probe have shaken the state's political landscape. Monday, Democratic Governor Tim Walz ended his bid for a third term.
Every minute that I spend defending my own political interest would be a minute I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota.
Federal immigration enforcement previously targeted Minneapolis and its neighboring city, St. Paul. In December, following disparaging comments about the Somali community from President Trump, deportation efforts took place. Fear, anxiety, and protests ensued. This time around, the DHS saying it's had trouble booking hotel rooms for agents.
When they were using their government emails to try and get a government rate for their rooms, they were being turned away.
Hilton issuing several statements saying an independently owned and operated hotel's actions were not reflective of Hilton values, and the hotel was being removed from its system. Michael Yoshida, KPBS News.
The city of San Diego says the federal government is illegally building razor wire fencing on land the city owns in Marron near the U.S.-Mexico border. On Monday, the city filed a lawsuit to try to stop the construction. City Attorney Heather Ferbert says federal agencies are trespassing and their work has irreparably harmed protected plant and wildlife habitats. In a statement to KPBS, the Department of Homeland Security said, quote, "We look forward to challenging this lawsuit." Federal health officials announced an overhaul of the childhood vaccine schedule, now recommending fewer shots. This comes as flu levels in the U.S. reach the highest level in 25 years. As Reed Binion reports, some fear recommending fewer immunizations will lead to more infections.
Today, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy announced plans to alter the U.S. childhood vaccination schedule to be...
Health experts expressing concern over the Department of Health and Human Services' decision to recommend fewer vaccines for most American children.
If changes to our schedule are needed, and over the years we've made lots of changes when evidence supported it, they should come from careful scientific review.
A number of recommendations remain intact, including those for the measles, mumps, and rubella, and immunizations against polio, chickenpox, HPV, and others. But officials are narrowing recommendations for some vaccinations, including hepatitis A and B, to children who are broadly at higher risk for infections. As for flu, COVID-19, and rotavirus, officials recommend vaccination decisions be based on consultation with a healthcare provider. Some experts worry reduced vaccinations could lead to more preventable infections in children.
Parents deserve clear, consistent, evidence-based guidance they can trust.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
San Diego County has been soaked with the rain the past few days. It's created problems for local residents. But looking back through history, we've seen much worse. Do you know what our rainiest year in recorded history is? Well, Ken Kramer counts down the top 10 in this story about San Diego.
We'd have to have a lot more to match 1995. That was our 10th rainiest year. Number 9 came just 3 years later.
Yep, this is El Nino. Yep.
The National Weather Service keeps records of our biggest storms and rainiest years. 1951-52 was our 8th wettest. We had 18 inches at the airport. Number 7, the 82-83 season. Pounding rain, coastal flooding, it was a mess. In the 6th spot, the sopping season of 92-93. Horses were stranded in the South Bay, and in the North County, raging streams kept families separated. Records show you have to go way back for the 5th wettest period, the stormy season of 1921-22. Number 4 was 1977-78, when waves changed the look of the coast at La Jolla. Number 3, 2004 and 2005, 22.5 inches of rain, pounding surf. Number 2 was back in 1940, 1941, 24 3/4 inches at Lindbergh, but that was only number 2.
And by the way, in case you're wondering, the most famously destructive storm in San Diego's history isn't even in the top 10.
1916, catastrophic flooding, bridges out in Mission Valley. The lower Otay Dam collapsed, killing perhaps 50 people in the so-called Hatfield flood. But no, the winner, 1883-84, when Krakatoa erupted and changed the weather everywhere worldwide. Just under 26 inches fell in San Diego, and it's never been matched since, in case anybody asks you that question about San Diego.
And Ken Kramer has a half hour of stories every week about San Diego. You can see them Thursday nights at 8 o'clock right here on KPBS.
Well, a storm system is passing barely to our south, but it's close enough that we're getting a few showers out of this one in some parts of the region. The farther south and east you are, the better your chance of a brief shower will be. We'll take a look at future radar here in just a moment with Futurecast. We're going to turn very cool behind this storm system. The winds will pick up. We'll have a little bit of a Santa Ana wind event, and we're going to turn chilly Thursday night into early Friday morning. Tonight, partly cloudy, 54 degrees. Most of us will spend the bulk of the night dry, but you're going to notice this area of rain, and we may be clipped by some of these showers on Wednesday as the storm system rounds through the base of a trough, passing mainly to our south, and then it begins to enter the desert southwest off to our east. So the bulk of the time will be dry. We'll be around 67, 66 degrees in San Diego and Chula Vista. El Cajon, 67 degrees. But again, we could see a few little sprinkles out there. You can see it's going to be a close call whether we actually see any of this creep into the city late tonight or early Wednesday. During the day Wednesday, this mainly passes just to the southeast. A couple of sprinkles, maybe a shower possible near the international border. And then Thursday, this system begins to interact with more moisture coming from the northwestern U.S. And you can see the interior southwest, places like Flagstaff. We'll see some decent snow, rain and snow in the interior. So it's a drier pattern building in mid to late week here for us. One storm system passes to our south and creeps into the desert southwest. Several storms just hammer the Pacific Northwest. They're going to get feet of snow. It's already in progress up into the Cascades of Washington and Oregon. And behind the southern storm system, the winds will begin to pick up with high pressure over Nevada. And that's going to drive a pretty good little offshore wind event into the area. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Inland parts of San Diego County will see gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour. Now, the trees may, in some cases, be in a spot where, again, the ground is saturated due to recent heavy rain, especially from San Diego up into Los Angeles. So there's a slightly greater chance for maybe a tree or two to topple if they don't have strong, firm roots. Coastal forecast, intermittent clouds with that system passing just to the south, maybe a few sprinkles or showers. Plenty of sunshine returns for Friday, but it gets cold. Look at those lows, 38 on Friday night, 39 Saturday night. That's cold for the coast. Inland areas down into the upper 30s late this week into the beginning of the weekend. Intermittent clouds Wednesday, a little brighter into Friday. Into the mountains, again, can't rule out a stray shower near the international border down to the south. Very cold then, with a good deal of sunshine. And the deserts, maybe a sprinkle or two in the southern parts of the deserts. Otherwise, the sun returns. Cold nights, pleasant afternoons. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
Okay, we all know that it can be hard enough to set a goal or New Year's resolution, let alone succeed in it. KPBS web producer Riley Arthur asked experts about the science behind resolutions and why we make them, why they fail, and how to make them actually stick.
The holiday season has ended, and it's time to consider goals for the new year. 3 in 10 Americans report making New Year's resolutions, according to a 2024 Pew Research survey. The survey found that nearly a month into the new year, 87% of respondents who made resolutions reported staying on track. Goal setting can happen all year round, but New Year's is a popular time of year for self-improvement. This is all due to a phenomenon called the fresh start effect. It's a behavioral science theory that people are more likely to start a life change on a milestone, like a birthday or a new year.
The fresh start effect gives us this opportunity to really think about our values, what's important to us, and what important changes do we want to make.
These milestones create psychological distance from past mistakes and allow us to set positive intentions with a renewed sense of purpose. It's the new year, new you mentality of starting the year with a clean slate. The challenge is when these new goals get derailed, many have trouble keeping the level of enthusiasm they did from the fresh start effect at the beginning of the year, when really goal setting can happen at any time.
It's sometimes easier to help yourself by having a fresh start effect in shorter time intervals. So for example, setting goals or resolutions every quarter instead of every year, or even every month.
Unfortunately, setting overly ambitious goals can set people up to fail. Experts say lasting change usually happens in small steps.
Real meaningful behavior change usually happens a little bit at a time.
A tip Leigh suggested was to hack your brain to reward yourself for habits and behaviors you want to develop and give consequences to habits you want to break. Whether you've already set a New Year's resolution or haven't yet, the takeaway is simple. Start small and start now. You don't need a new year to make a change, just a clear, achievable goal. Riley Arthur, KPBS News.
And here is a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. What does history tell us about the U.S. actions in Venezuela? NPR's Morning Edition is talking to an author who researched America's role in regime changes over the last century from Hawaii to Iraq. And KPBS Midday Edition is marking 1 year since the Eaton and Palisades fires devastated neighborhoods in Los Angeles. They're talking to an LAist reporter about the long road to recovery. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.